Alright guys, so today we're going to do something I don't normally do, and that is a comparison video. We're going to be comparing the new SoundPEATS Pop Clip 2 or UU2 versus the EarFun Clip 2. Now these are two very similar products, but really the reason I am comparing both of these is because once I just did the video on the new SoundPEATS, a lot of you guys in the comment section was asking which one would I buy or what are the differences between both of these. So this kind of will answer a lot of those questions. And the first thing that we could start with is the price. The EarFun Clip 2 normally comes in at about $79, although you can kind of see it hovering around $60 to $63. It's on sale right now for $63. But the SoundPEATS are coming in retailing at $49, and right now because they were just released, you can pick them up for about $35, especially if you include the code that SoundPEATS has included, which I'll put all of this in the description. And so to start with, as far as the comparison goes, we need to look at the design of both of these. I would say that they're both fairly similar because they have that ball that goes into your ear canal, and then it has the larger section behind your ears, and that is where your controls are located. Now both of these do use button controls, which is nice. The design though is fairly different. I would say that the EarFun has more of an elegant look to it. It has like a silver accent, and in my opinion it kind of looks a little bit more like jewelry, where the SoundPEATS is a little bit more muted. Now it is glossy, but there is a large matte finish on the actual control box, so it feels a little bit more muted, but for the most part they both kind of look the same. And as far as comfort goes, you're not going to have any issue with both of these. There's a lot of flex, a lot of give. It clips onto your ears really well without having a pinching feel. And it's not one that moves around if you're going to use them for like running, jogging, or maybe even at the gym. So they are both extremely comfortable. Now, as far as some of the features, some of the things that they do have in common is they both have Bluetooth 6.0. They both support multi-point connection. They both are high-res wireless certified because they both have LDAC playback. They also both have spatial audio modes, which again, you could take that with a grain of salt. They're really good for movies, TV shows, and gaming in this mode, but again, just don't use it for music. That at least is my opinion. I'm not a fan of this. Another thing that they have in common is they both have the dynamic EQ feature, which basically kind of gives you low end, whether you're listening to these at lower volumes. It also boosts the bass if you're going to have these turned up. And this is nice because, again, a lot of the open ear clip-on style earbuds don't generally have bass, but it's not really a problem in both of them. But once we talk about the sound, we will talk about where there is a difference here. Another thing that they have in common, which I think is a very good feature in this style of earbud, is privacy mode. You switch it into privacy mode, it kind of hones in the sound a little bit more directly into your ear canal and makes it where these don't leak pretty much any sound at all. So if you don't want to bother somebody sleeping next to you, or if you're in a more quieter environment, this kind of eliminates these leaking sound as much. So now let's talk to where these kind of have a little bit different features. Now the SoundPEATS has a feature that I like where it has self-adjusting earbuds as far as like however you put them in the case. So if you take them out of your ears and you can put the left one in the right side or the left side, same thing with the right one, and however you take them out of the case is what it will be the next time. So if you take the earbud out of the right side of the case, it will be the right earbud, and you take the earbud out of the left, it will be the left. So it doesn't matter how you put them in there, it just matters how you take them out of the case. And then as far as some features that the EarFun has, and this definitely makes them stand out a little bit more than the SoundPEATS, is it does have AI translation. An AI translation, essentially, if you're around a group of people or somebody that doesn't speak your language, it will play back in your language, so you know what is being said around you, and you can kind of do vice versa. So you can say something and then it will present it on your phone in their language. Just kind of makes it easier to talk or communicate with people around you. Now there's obviously workarounds with the SoundPEATS. If you wanted to do this, you can utilize other apps that have this built in, but the EarFun has it baked into their app, or it's at least a feature that they offer that SoundPEATS doesn't right out of the box. Now as far as using these outdoors, the SoundPEATS come in with an IPX5 rating, where the EarFun comes in with an IP55. So the water rating is the same on both of these. They are not waterproof, but they're fine against splashes, rain, and sweat, and things like that. But the EarFun is giving you dust protection. So if you're at the beach or at a job site, anywhere that there may be dust flying around, you don't have to worry about that as much. So you are getting better protection with the EarFun. Now, as far as charging these and the battery life, the SoundPEATS, you do have to use a USB-C cable. The battery life on these, you are going to get 10 hours on a single charge with about 42 hours using the case. Now, this is obviously with LDAC off. If you do happen to pick these up, they do have a fast charging feature where a 10-minute charge will get you 2 hours of use, where the EarFun, you can also charge these wirelessly, so you don't have to have a USB-C cable, so that is a huge plus. But the battery life is also slightly better on the earbuds, but not as much on the case. So on a single charge, you're going to get 11 hours on the earbuds with about 40 hours using the case. Now, the fast charging is better on the EarFun because on a 10-minute charge, you're going to get 2.5 hours instead of the 2 hours that the SoundPEATS are getting. So the battery life for the most part is pretty much on par with one another, but the huge advantage is obviously having wireless charging on the EarFun. Now, if you are going to use either one of these for taking phone calls, you are getting the same amount of microphones because both of these have 4 mics total, and then they both utilize AI to kind of have noise canceling during calls. So it's trying to block out a lot of your surroundings and then just kind of focus in on your voice. And for that, we'll just kind of show you both mic samples here so you can kind of see the difference between both of these. So here is a quick mic test outdoors using the Clip 2. I definitely hear some birds off to the side. I can hear a little bit of traffic, but this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So here is a quick mic test outdoors using the Pro Clip 2s. I definitely hear an AC unit off to the side here. I can hear like bugs and things like that. But this is just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about what I feel is the most important thing, and that is the sound. Now, both of these do use 12mm dynamic drivers, but they both utilize them in different ways. I think they both have completely different sound signatures. And we'll start with the EarFun. The EarFun is a much brighter earbud. It's much more detailed. The treble does get closer to that point of being harsh. The mids are great. Mids are actually excellent. They do have a slightly forward approach so they don't get lost in the mix. And the bass has a nice punch to it, but the bass isn't overwhelming. It's not trying to push that subwoofer type feel. It's just trying to give you just enough so that you can feel the impact, but not again sacrifice any of the detail. So it is a much brighter sound, especially in comparison to the SoundPEATS. SoundPEATS is taking a different approach because it is definitely emphasizing the low end. There is a slight vibration. It does pull out sub bass, and it just, in my opinion, just has more impact to it. It just gives it a fuller bodied sound. The mids, I would say, are about the same because mids, I never had any issue with male or female vocalists getting lost in the mix. Again, you can tell it's just slightly in front of everything else. But the treble on these doesn't have that same sharpness, that same brightness that the EarFun has. It has a lot of details. It's not that you're going to lack here, but it has a warmer feel to it. And I think that's because the bass is a little bit more prominent in the SoundPEATS. So they have completely different sound signatures. I do feel like they still are both good no matter what genres you're using them on. But I would say this, though. If you're somebody that listens to more pop or hip hop, or maybe even metal where you like to feel the double bass of the drums and things like that, I would kind of steer you in the direction of the SoundPEATS, where if you're somebody that listens to more vocal driven stuff or a lot more instrumental stuff or classical or maybe even podcasts, where again, you just want to hear dialogue that much better and you want to hear more clarity up on the high end, I would kind of steer you in the direction of the EarFun. The soundstage and the sound imaging, in my opinion, are both very, very similar. In fact, I would say it's way too close to even try to say that one is better than the other. They both make you feel like you're in a very large area. And with either one of these, you'll never have any issue being able to tell where different sounds are coming from. So really, to kind of sum it all up, it really kind of comes down to your own personal preference. I do feel like with the bass that the SoundPEATS has, it feels like it has a little bit more universal appeal. It has more of a consumer grade tuning because a lot more consumers like the low end. They like the punch of bass. And I feel like the SoundPEATS definitely deliver more here than what the EarFun does. But that does not take away from the fact that the EarFun has a lot of value because of the clarity in the sound that you're getting. I do feel like you're getting slightly better advantage as far as the features. Having Qi wireless charging on the case on the EarFun is a huge plus. The battery life is slightly better on the earbuds and slightly better with the fast charging. I do like the AI translation feature. If you're somebody that travels a lot, this is obviously going to be very important. But at the same time, I really like that SoundPEATS has that, doesn't really matter how you put them in the case. It's just going to make the left, the right, the right every time you take it out of the case. That's just convenient in general. So again, for the price tag, they are both incredible values. They are both way better values than what I see in Bose, and some of the Sony and Shocks. There's some of those that are much more expensive, much more premium style products, but I feel like they don't sacrifice here with the SoundPEATS or the EarFun, and that's kind of the way that these brands have been from day one. That's kind of what they offer. You're not having to spend as much, but you're not sacrificing as much either. And in some cases, it feels like you're even getting more with the inexpensive brands. You just don't get that name to go along with it. But guys, if it were up to me, I gotta have to obviously pick mine. I would say that the SoundPEATS kind of caters to me a little bit more. I am not somebody that travels often, so the translation feature is not huge to me. And I am somebody that listens to a little bit of everything. And I am a bass head, so having that punch and that impact that the SoundPEATS gives me, you can't take away from the fact that the SoundPEATS is still much cheaper than the EarFun. $35 for what the SoundPEATS offers is a steal, but I still feel like the EarFun, being able to pick them up for $60 is a steal as well. They're still coming in at about a third of the price of brands like Shocks or brands like Bose. And again, I don't feel like there's any drop off here. The quality is just the same, and if not better in some cases. So either one of these are going to be an excellent buy, but it really is just going to come down to your own personal preference. But guys, that wraps up my video comparison between the SoundPEATS Pop Clip 2 / UU2 versus the EarFun Clip 2. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.